Everyday life in the Soviet Union, the shopping run around. The author, Hendrik Smith, was head of the New York Times office in Moscow from 1971 to 1974. The following passage is adapted from Mr. Smith's book, The Russians, which was published in 1976 by Quadrangle, the New York Times Book Company. I had heard about consumer shortages before going to Moscow, but only when we began to shop there did the Russian consumers' problem really happening for me. Customer the world over whitened lines, but Soviet lines have a special quality all their own. Typically, the Soviet woman spends 2 hours a day in line, 7 days a week. Personally, I have known of people who stood in line 90 minutes to buy four pineapples and 3.5 hours to buy three large heads of cabbage, only to find the cabbage were gone as they approached the front of the line. Lines can run from a few yards to nearly a mile. Some friends of ours watched a line of people in Moscow signing up to buy rugs. The line lasts 2 days and nights and ran for across Altrove, an apartment development. In spite of all of this, the natural reaction of a Russian woman when she sees a line forming is to get it immediately, even before she knows what is being sold. However, Soviet lines are more fluid than they appear. The most store, for example, shopper must stand in not one but three lines for any purchase. The first to select a purchase and find out its price. The second to pay a cashier somewhere else in the store and get a receipt. And the third to go pick up the purchase and turn in the receipt. But in a dairy store one morning, I found out that the game is both simpler and more complex than that. I went it to buy some cheese, butter, and bologna sausage, which were in three spirit departments, each with its own line. Rather quickly, though, I noticed that experienced shoppers were skipping the first stage. They knew what most items cost, so they went directly to the cashier for their receipt. After studying price, I did that too. Then I went to the cheese line to longest probably 20 people to get the worst over with first. I was in line less than a minute when the woman in front of me asked me to hold her place. She darted off the butter and milk line. The cheese line was moving so slowly that she got her butter and milk and returned before we had advanced 3 feet. I decided I decided to take the rice too and get back with my butter while the cheese line still inching along. Then it suddenly occurred to me that all over the store, people were getting into line, holding place, laying, returning. Everyone was using the cheese line as home base. That was why it's barely moving, it kept expanding in the middle. So I got the man behind me to hold my place, and I went off to buy my bologna. Once again, it worked. It took me 22 minutes to buy butter, sausage, and cheese. But instead of being furious, I felt as if I had beaten the system. This competitive shopping gives an atmosphere of tension to Russian life. People barge into store and bump into each other with pace set in combative expression. You have to understand, said a kind gray-haired person, that for as long as we can remember, shopping has been a struggle. Life is a struggle. There is hardly any effective advertising to help shoppers. Americans complain about the constant commercial in the United States, but they might black out Jerusalem. A typical Soviet might be if you want to like to arrive old age and be beautiful, modest, true, and truthful, drink tea. Most newspapers publish without ads. The shopper has no handy yellow page or daily newspaper, supermarket, or department store ads to help her decide where to shop. Bribery is widespread, low paid, $80 to 20 monthly sellers take a portion of attractive items and sell them secretly to regular customers who have either left a bribe in advance or can be counted on to pay a high price on delivery. 10 to 15 rubles on securable raincoat is standard in 1976. The ruble was equivalent. So common is this practice that the Soviet press is always complaining about it, but it doesn't do any good. Crocodile, the Soviet humor magazine, once showed a department store employee promoting some newly arrived items. Their customers in the leather goods department, 500 imported women's purses have been received. 450 of them have been bought by store employees. 49 are under the counter and have been ordered in advance for friends. One purse is in the display window. We invite you to visit the leather department to buy this purse.